I am here. That's what all the chatter was about over there. Thanks, Lee, for calling me. Oh my gosh. Oh my good gosh. So, okay. Okay. I unplugged a plug. Look, I I polyurethane the top of my desk, and that required me to unplug my microphone in the far way back, and I forgot. Phew, all are so tolerant. Let's begin again. Okay, we're going to begin right at the beginning. I'm going to say hi to everybody as I did before. I said hi to everybody, but mostly I think I'm going to say thank you to everybody. Yeesh, thank you. A big applause for Lee for calling me. All right. Okay. That's all right. Here, I'll give you a little bell, just a little bell. Quick little bell there. So peace and welcome, everybody. Welcome to Not Church this morning. I appreciate you being here and bearing with me once again as I fumble through my life. Um, so today, the meaning of being made in the image of light, and obviously being made in the image of DNA too, but being made in the image of light. You are good. You are good. Your goodness. And last week in the opening of Genesis, we showed that the word good, and today I would say, good God, the word good appears 6 times as a blessing and on everything that there is. And then the word blessing actually appears over everything all at once on the seventh day. And of course, there's no 24-hour days back then because this opening story is a myth. It tells a truth with a capital T. It's not history, it's not fact, it's not science. It's a myth like this that tells us who we are, where we're from, and what we're made of, and to where we're going. Heaven. I'm looking at the chat. It's funny. Thank you. We're all fumbling. We are. Yo, yo. So, where we're going, heaven, home, bliss. Am I blushing? Paradise, light, love, and beauty, the realm of beauty. What name can contain infinity? And I want to say that Lee called me when I said this sentence, and she said to me, "You're being a mime again today." This is the sentence I was just going to say. I'm going to read it. My lips can't say it. What I said was, my name, what name can contain infinity? My lips can't say it. Okay. So let's start again with the beginning with our breath. And we begin with 3 chants to settle our minds, because I obviously need it, and to settle ourselves. Then we'll switch into our centering prayer. And if you're new here at Not Church today, expect the unexpected and welcome. And pick a prayer word such as light or love and repeat it on your breath. I am sure I am blushing. On your breath, breathe it into your belly and then back up out again. So pick a word, maybe light and or love. But we're going to begin with the word Om. We're going to chant it 3 times, and you're going to be able to see a link below for a brief instructional video that you can use later in the day if you so choose. And centering meditation aims your heart at the oneness. That's the intention. Aim the heart at the oneness, at light and love. Okay, everybody. All right, you're all mensches. Okay, thank you. Yeah, no name can contain infinity. Feet on the floor, eyes closed, deep breath. Centering prayer. Repeat your word on your breath. I'm called Peter. It's not my name. It's what I'm called. I have a Master's of Divinity in Mysticism. I'm a 2-time near-death experiencer, and that's where I put my emphasis. I'm a lifelong mystical experiencer. That's where I put my emphasis. I'm an ex-liberal Christian clergy, ex-liberal Christian clergy, and an ex-TV broadcaster. I speak mysticism with a Christian accent. I'm a non-believer. I know the light and love are real with a capital R, as do millions of other NDEers like me. I am a mystic. I claim that word. And I try to be a humble channel of light. I try to be a messenger of the light directly. That's what this is for, to communicate that one thing. And if you've ever felt the touch of light when we're together, the flow of goodness, let me know in the chat or in the comments. Thanks. The message with a capital M, the divine with a capital D, communicates itself with a capital I way beyond words. The messenger is immaterial. So what does it mean to be made in the image of light? Genesis 1:26-27, and Elohim, the plural, said, "Let us make humankind in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea and the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." So the Elohim, the plural, created humans in their own image. In the image of Elohim, the light, they created humanity. 2 parts today. 1, the image. 2, dominance. I should say that with like a scary voice. Dominance. When I was dead, when I was alive in heaven, I saw my origin of myself. I don't need Genesis or a myth to tell me this. I saw the original self being made all the time. My original self, not Peter, this thing that I am named, but the origin of the center of my being, of myself, as an emanation of the divine. Imagine the divine as all of the electrons and all of the universe in a cloud of electrons. They're all moving. They're all individual. They're all entangled. And somehow one me gets put outside the cloud. I'm entangled with the cloud. I am of the same substance with the cloud. I am less than the cloud. I am limited by my individuality. This is what I am. This is who I am. This is what you are, and this is who you are. Week after week, I talk about the golden light I saw inside of all of humanity with my heaven's eye, seeing the origin of yourself as goodness, as blessed, as beloved, as truth itself. I saw, I experienced, I understood my immortality. And my immortality is the goodness itself. And that goodness carries into your life in the earth. No goodness, no life. Not just for you, but for all living things. But especially for you. Especially for you because you are the beloved child of the divine, made of goodness itself. Made in the image, made in the reflection, made in the limitation. An image is not the same. It's similar. It's of the same image, but it's somehow less than. We are of the image of the divine. We are a reflection of the light. We are an emanation of the light. We are an electron from an electron cloud, which I don't even think is a thing in physics, by the way. You, right now, in this moment, for all of your life, are made of goodness. And in this story in Genesis, the writer of this story knew this to be true. We are made in this light. And it can be seen here on earth. I not only saw this in heaven, I see it now. I saw it when I first came back. I saw it in the auras surrounding every single person that I saw in the beginning and I see today. The shimmer 1 inch from everybody's body. That if I just look to see it, there it is. Like a haze, on a hot day, like a mirage of a shimmer. Right there around every single person. But I've seen it more intensely than that since I came back. I'm going to tell you 2 little stories. One of a chickadee and one of a human being. A few years after I came back, when I was in divinity school studying mysticism, I had an experience for another day, another mystical experience that took me out of myself and drove me to go to the monastery, forced me. Well, I was lost by it. And so I went to the monastery in Spencer Abbey in order to talk to Theophane Boyd, my spiritual director. And while I waited for him, I was there for 3 or 4 days on retreat. While I waited for him to find time to see me, which he did, I went out for a walk. I took off my shoes to ground myself. It was a spring day, early spring, but warm enough. And I went on a silent meditation walk, moving each step as slowly and consciously as I could on a woodland path, not breaking a twig, feeling the mud beneath my feet, as quietly as I could, as consciously as I could. And as I rounded a corner, I heard a chickadee sing its spring call. And I stopped. And it flew to me and landed on a branch above me. And then it flew down to the next branch, closer to me. And then I looked in its eyes. And as I looked in its eyes, I had this sudden urge to raise one finger up. And so I did. And I held it in front of me, and the bird came down, still looking in my eyes, and landed on my finger. And I was as quiet inside as I am in meditation. And it turned its head. And then it lifted off my finger, came and touched my chin with its little tiny talons, prickling me. And its beak, it touched my nose, and its wings beat my cheeks, and then it flew back up to the branch. All the while looking in its eyes. And as I looked into its eyes, I saw deep within it the light itself. I became the light inside the bird. And the bird could see the light inside me and became the light inside me, like a little ball of light in a vast darkness. As I peered into the bird, I could see the core of its being. And the core of its being was the image of the divine. And I experienced it experiencing it in me. There was no separation between us. We were both made of this same lightness, this same goodness. And then it ended. And I went to see Theophane, and we had a conversation, a talk for another day. Every single time a person has a mystical experience, they lose their identity. They get reformed as a new identity. Whether that's a visitation from the dead, or whether it's a theophany where you experience God directly. I am no greater or lesser than a chickadee. I am the same. Years and years later, 4 years ago, I got a phone call on my answering machine. Back in the day when I still had a landline and an answering machine, not so many years ago. And the voice on the phone answering machine said, "Hello, Peter. My name is," I promised not to tell his name. "My name is, I've been hearing all about you. Everybody says I have to come and see you. So I'm here in Boothbay Harbor. Can you come and see me? This is where I am. This is who I am." So I went. It was weird. Some guy calling you out of the blue. Come and meet me. People are telling me about you. I didn't know what to think. I was a little skeptical, but I went. And as I crossed the yard to greet him, the center of his forehead illuminated like a lamp, like a sun, like a star. And I felt the same happen in me. And I could see with my eyes the light in his forehead emanating out of his forehead. And I knew that he could see it in me. This big light right there. I could see his image of God, just as I'd seen it in the chickadee. Only this time it was on the outside. And I knew that he could see it in me, and we greeted in a hug. Because I could see him, and he could see me. I'm telling you these stories of my life with the hope that you come to understand a couple of things. That it's okay to talk about mystical experiences. It's worth the risk, because the reward is the intensity of the light itself, is living in the light itself in the world and sharing it with others to strengthen us all together. When the Bible says you are made in the image of God, you are light from light. I tell you these stories so that you might grasp the radical equality of our created nature in goodness and in light. I am the same as the chickadee. I am the same as the man. We are made of light. So are you. All living creatures, trees and grass and insects too. Goodness at the very core of my being. Goodness at the very core of yourself. Always being energized, always being remade, always being brought forth into being right here, right now. This is the great equality, the great sameness with a capital S, the great oneness. But we're not just made of goodness, right? We have a problem. We have a problem that originates in this passage in Genesis. We've come to believe that we are above nature. Humanity, for hundreds of thousands of years, began to dominate the earth as we spread across the continents and we became one humanity out of Denisovans and Neanderthals and others. And we so came to dominate that we forgot that we are of the earth and of nature. And we told ourselves, we're in charge. We build civilizations, we subdue rivers, we subdue the earth, all from the single word inside Genesis: dominion, sovereignty, supremacy, dominance, hegemony, authority over the earth and all creatures in it. They belong to you. Do what you will with them, we tell ourselves. And this passage, it's the cause of climate change. This is where it begins. God gave us the earth to use as we wish. This passage tells us. This part arises not out of the heart of the goodness of light. This part arises out of the ego of the human. Here in this passage, there are two parts. There's the light and the human, right here in these two verses. The egoic self, me, my, mine, Augustine. We, us, ours, society. And look where this has gotten us. We don't remember our humanity. We don't remember our light. The Anthropocene, we pronounce Anthropocene, the Anthropocene epoch, the age in which humanity, made of goodness at its core, finally has full dominance over Earth's ecosystems, climate, and even geography. Note the rising oceans. Last week we had a tide here that was maybe the highest tide I've ever seen. Close to it. Look what we've done because we believed in the dominance and did not understand what it means to be made in the image. This passage contains the two sides of ourselves, the dualistic nature of ourselves. We set ourselves above our home and we despoiled it. But here we are with this phenomenon of mysticism making a resurgence in the public consciousness, a phenomenon of near-death experiencers by the tens of millions, shining light and love at this critical point in our history, bringing the two together. The light being that you are and the human that you are. Together. We have an opportunity, if we recognize as a society the origin of the goodness of ourselves that predates our human living, that predates our bodies, that predates the universe. If we set our intent toward the oneness of being, toward the goodness itself, together, maybe we can nudge the world away from this catastrophe that we've created. In any case, either way, win or lose, we get to go home. This is not our home. We are from goodness, and to goodness we return. We are light from light, peace from peace, the flow from the flow. And thank God for that. My friends, next week, Genesis chapter 2 at the beginning of verse 4. The second myth, Eden. Thanks for listening today. Thanks for the ongoing support. Inshallah, you keep me bringing this every week. I come into this chair. I make foibles and mistakes. And hopefully they're funny. I try to keep this content, keep coming with content. And if you're touched or moved and you want to join the chorus, head on over to peterpanagore.love and look for the spinning red heart right at the top. You have to be a little quick to get down by my face on the website. Every gift, every bit, every nod to my work helps me bring this divine light a little closer each week. So thank you. And thanks for the 2 super chats I saw come in when I was speaking, not sounding. Thank you. Please join us at the top of the hour for Mystic TEA Salon. The link is below. It's a humble conversation about mystical experiences in a safe and understanding and helpful environment. Come lurk if you want to. We had like 60 people last Sunday. The link, like I said, is below. Centering prayer practice. The most important thing is the practice of prayer. And you can do that right with us a couple days a week, Mondays and Wednesdays, and also on Tuesdays on Zoom. So thank you very much for being here, and thanks for helping. Peace and love, everybody. I'm going to take a look at the chat, see what's going on over there. And, ooh, don't put that there. Huh. Don't put your iPad on top of your keyboard. Not a good idea. Look before you leap. Thank you for the smiley face over there. See? Christina, thank you for the super chat. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to come back here a little bit higher up in the chat and see what's going on here. The stillness in you is felt by an animal and unites. Also see James French. The stillness is felt. It's true, it's felt. It confirms your desire to be a vegan. I was a vegetarian at the time. Turns out that was not a good, healthy diet for me. I was a vegetarian for 20 years. And turns out that I was allergic to half the stuff I was eating. So, go figure. This is wonderfully, yes, I have felt the light connection in you. Thank you, Jem, for saying so. The purpose of all of this is to see if I can flow enough with the light so that people can find it for themselves. I'm really trying to, what? I'm trying to communicate the divine directly. And thanks, Christina, for the super chat. So that's what I'm really trying to do. Waves of shivers. Tiffany, oh good. I have seen that light in eyes too, says Annie. You can see it in light in the eyes of people. You see it, you feel it. I feel it, I see it with my palms. My whole soul self is one entity of a sensory receptor. When you see it with your eyes in the eyes of another, it's the eye of your soul seeing the eye of theirs. It's a beautiful, powerful thing. And I'm glad you have seen it. This is awesome and exquisite. Thanks, Lee, and thanks for your help again, Lee. I do believe let's see, the Mapar from Russia is back. Hi. I've always thought dominion was more appropriately read as gentle stewardship. Yes, I avoided that this morning. Yes, that's what the mainline churches have talked about it as stewardship instead of domination. But we've taken it as domination. You know, we really have. Now we need to be good stewards of the earth, and maybe fusion. Okay, so that maybe fusion, when we stopped having to produce electrical energy with carbon fuels, maybe when fusion comes online, the joke used to be fusion is 30 years away. It's always been. And that was the joke. It was always going to be 30 years away. But but maybe it's going to come sooner now. The Chinese, they've raised their fusion machine up to 200 times the heat of the surface of the sun. How did you learn to see the physical light in others? Chad, I didn't really learn how to do that. I'll come to that in a second. It wasn't really so much a learning thing. Thanks, Pat. And thanks, Chad, for the super chats. But fusion, MIT and outside of Boston, in Cambridge, they've made great advances in fusion. Maybe if we can stop burning fossil fuels for electricity, we can get ahead on this thing. Maybe we can. Maybe it's possible. But I didn't really learn to do it, Chad. Meditation does help. Okay, meditation clears the way, creates the space. It was sort of a mutual relationship, a co-created thing. Only, the divine has a lot more control. The divine has like 99% control, and I have 1%. So, meditation, the entering of the silence, the continual practice of silence, the ending of duality inside my head created the opportunity to see more light. But I just came back from death seeing light. It's just kind of an after effect. Uh, when I came back from heaven the first time, I could see light everywhere. It was a gift. It was a gift. But I can say that a life of contemplation and meditation polishes that, opens it, makes it bigger. I've made it bigger in my life. And I've made it bigger in my life through the practice of learning to be silent on the interior, at least for a few minutes every day, and also through continued mystical experience that was given to me and I didn't earn. It just was given. Um, so silence, Chad. That's my best answer. And thanks, Pat, for the super chat. You are my favorite modern distiller of light. Oh, thanks, Wendy. That's sweet. Thank you. Thank you for your courage to speak out in safe place for us. Yeah, safe place for us. We are lots of us. Hey, I want to mention a video that one of our members popped up in one of our feeds, and it is titled, see if I can grab it here. It's titled The Making of Mysticism. And I put the link below. I put the link below because I'm about a third of the way through this thing. If you want to understand the history of mysticism, particularly in the West, Christianity a little bit better, this is a 45-minute sort of college level um, explanation. It's very good. So I mentioned that this morning because he points out that the academics of understanding what mysticism is not the same thing as the experience of it. If you want to experience it, you can by emptying yourself. That's the way it works. So nice to be with you all. Hey, Betty, down East Rocky, I'm glad you're here. Hey, Rod, a silly question from you. How do you know that place you were offered when you had your NDE to be will be there again when you finally depart? Oh, because Rod, because God told me so. I got a promise. I got a promise from the divine being. My feet are cold. I'm putting on my slippers. I got a promise from the divine being, the oneness itself. I said, can I come back here if I go back there? And the divine said yes. So yes, I have a promise, and I will. That's why I know. It's like it's a knowing. It's not a believing. I know that was true because the divine told me so. Live and let live. Let's see. My first vivid memory from my childhood was myself drowning, but not drowning, crossing over, dog-faced pony. You could be a childhood mystical experience here, if that's what you're saying. If you had that when you were a child, unlike those of us who've had it when we were older, you've lived your whole life with this, meaning you didn't have anything to compare it to. Not really. I'd love to talk about that. I'd love to hear about that. I'd love to hear your story. That would be helpful for me and for everybody, actually. Peter, when the humans were created, was it the vessels being created for our spirits, or was it our spirits' souls being created? I predate my body. I predate my body. I entered into my body. All of the universe, human beings. It sounds in Genesis like human beings were suddenly created and God breathed into them. That's not the way it worked in the real world. In the real world, we evolved from the Big Bang over 13 0.77 billion years, during which all of that time, the divine presence was inside of everything. My soul predates my body. My body wasn't created by my soul, although there's some kind of deep intimacy between the two of them, which I don't really understand yet. I hope that helps. I predate my bodies. My soul was called into being before I ever entered into any human form or any other form, for that matter. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream of consciousness. Merrily, merrily, merrily enjoy. Life is but a dream. Suzanne, thanks. Yep, it is but a dream. Why do people suffer here? Did you ask them that? Of course I did, yeah. No suffering, no universe, basically. I talk about this in other videos. It's a big question, but I'm trying to give it a brief answer here, which is that with in order for the universe to exist, it has to be in a limited form. The unlimited has to become limited. And when the unlimited, the perfect, the pure becomes limited, the imperfect, the impure, you get suffering. And it's not just human beings who suffer. It's everything. Even the red the red what are they, those redwoods that are burning in Big Sur right now in California. They suffer too. They might not have nerve endings like we do, but I've seen plants recoil from heat. Why do people suffer here? Yeah. Or is it simply, or is creation simply the divine manifesting itself? Creation is the divine manifesting itself, the unmanifested manifesting creation. And do you ever ask yourself why people who have near-death experiences have life reviews and how God knows everything about them? Because God experiences them with them. God experiences the limitation. This is not something that's observational for the divine, it's experiential for the divine. Suffers with us. Thanks, Alfred. Thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you. Hey, we got 91 people here today. That's a record. People tell me not to sing. Okay, I won't. Let's see what else. I think that is spectacularly more amazing than being snapped into existence, says Daniel. Oh, it's spectacularly more amazing. And we're not the only ones. The whole thing about Genesis, both chapters, is that we think we're the only important ones, the only sentient beings in all the universe. We're not. We're not even the only sentient beings on Earth, let alone the whole universe. Evolution is this incredible thing. It's as old as the universe. It's just awesome. It's so much better not to snap the fingers and have humanity develop, but to have us grow into consciousness. Roland Peter, love your teachings. Are you familiar with the books of Dolores Cannon? Oh, a little bit, yeah. People keep asking me that, and I think I read one of hers a long time ago, like 30 years ago, maybe. Is that possible? I'd have to look her up. I don't even know how old this is, but it rings a bell to me. If so, I would value your opinion. Walk-ins, imprinting, elementals. Oh yeah, the walk-ins, the imprinting, elementals. I couldn't talk on that intelligently today because I haven't read them in such a long time, but I am familiar with the ideas. I talk only about the mystical things that I know. I try never to give my opinion on things I don't know. And I haven't experienced walk-ins myself. I mean, I'm essentially a walk-in, I guess. But I came back to my body. So I walked into my body, but I had also left this body. So I'm not like a new soul living inside this body. I'm the same soul. Oh yes, but I've changed as a result. So I'm going to stop right there before I keep babbling. I believe. Oh, I lost you there, Tiffany. You were going to say something. And I believe in reincarnation because I remember 3 of mine. But talking About in the beginning. Yeah, I saw my other lives. I pre-exist them. Jay, the light. Some NDEs get the blazing white light. It's all around us. The wall between you and it evaporates when the connection to what you really are grows more and more. The walls fall. Jay Carter is also an NDE. And it sounds like he and I, as we've been having conversations on my channel, chatting back and forth for weeks, went to a very similar place and have very similar after effects. So yeah, I'm going to read that again. The light, some NDEs get the blazing white light. It is all around us. The walls between you and it evaporates when the connection to what you really are grows more and more. And you can grow it more and more with meditation. That's what I was trying to say before. That's how I've grown it. I've spent my life doing that on purpose. I'm so confused about reincarnation. We should talk about that, Vicky. I have a video on reincarnation. I think it might even be called Reincarnation. I think it's in the title anyway. Um, 97 folks. Peace and love, everybody. Thanks for being here. Every step of the way. Thoughts on the Course in Miracles. I haven't read the whole. I've only read a little bit of Course in Miracles, but the Course in Miracles people. One of the major teachers, John Mundy, about 2 years ago, contacted me and said, "Hey, man, I've been listening to your NDEs and they sound a lot like the Course in Miracles. Why don't you come on to my show?" So I did this show with him, and we've become friends in the process, strong acquaintances, I guess you could say. I haven't read the Course in Miracles, but everything I hear about the Course in Miracles sure sounds like light speaking. I can definitely say that without having read them. Are fictional narratives like books and movies, etc., in heaven? Nah, I didn't have any of that stuff. I don't know, Sebastian. I didn't see any of that stuff. There were no things in heaven. There was nothing that was a human creation. There were no human creations in heaven at all. Not even me. I wasn't even a human creation anymore. So I didn't see any of that kind of stuff. Maybe in some level of heaven, maybe our level of heaven, but I don't know. I don't think so. Vibration and energy form of creation at Vicky. Let's see. Vicky Wells. I've had two past life experiences. In both, I fell through a great tunnel and saw the life which was happening at that time. It was a firsthand Einstein space time understanding. Those things happen. People see their previous lives, like Susan. We suffer because we choose this lesson. We want to be the best version of ourselves. Experience is the only way to understand triumph over tragedy. That's true, Carol. That's true. I grow in this world, but also when I was dead, I knew everything I wanted to know. I was the divine self infilled me with beauty and truth beyond my capacity, forever learning on my own. Yes and no, it's a paradox, I guess. Um, I chose the life I'm living. That's for sure. I totally chose the life I'm living. I know that when I died and when my soul was cleansed, my consciousness unburdened, I didn't have any of the bad things with me. And I only had the good lessons of love with me. So I can go there. Damien Green, vum.ong. That is an interesting code that I don't think is what I want here, my friend. I don't know who you are, but I don't know what vum.ong stands for, but I'm not very trusting of it. Sorry, been around a lot. That's Damien Green. Remind yourself as much as necessary that joy does not come from anything outside you because there is nothing outside of you. That's true. It comes from within. This goodness, this image of light that you're made of, it does come out in joy too. It comes in peace, it comes in light, and all these things arise inside us. They all flow from us, from deep inside us, out of the origin of our being. Got about 5 minutes left here, my friends. Course in Miracles is helpful for the psychologically oriented. It helps understand the ego. Nice, good. Thank you for that. This is the fictional stories. This is the fictional stories. Eric says, "Yeah, this is the fiction. This is the dream. This is the dream space. Feels real, and you have consequences here. But when that door opens, relief, healing, wholeness, reality. I call the divine inside myself the real with a capital R, or reality, capital R, which means to me here, lowercase r, real, lowercase r, reality, dream, temporary, impermanence, not my home, not my body. Is categorizing level, Holly, is categorizing levels in heaven a way for us to understand the inexplicable in our terms, or do you believe it is a real progress of progression there? I experienced the progression. I experienced the oneness itself, but I've also experienced the progression. Like layers kept peeling off of me. The deeper I went into infinity and a mystical experience, which someday I should probably talk about, um, here there were layers were peeled off of me and peeled off of me. The closer I got to unity, to the oneness, to the light itself, the further it receded from me. The further I went into it, the more pure, less layered I became. I went layer by layer, dimension by dimension, level by level. I can only say what I experienced. Is that all there is? I don't know, but I definitely had that experience. Changed me, shattered me. Like all mystical experiences, like I've said before, every single time that you have a theophany, a divine experience of the connectedness of healing love in your life, either in your body or a visitation or a divine out of body experience in the presence of God, your identity changes. You change, you shatter. I shattered. I became a new person every single time. And then through those levels of heaven, I became a new being at every level, deeper into myself, closer to the origin of my being. A miracle, a shift in perspective from fear based ego to spiritually based love and forgiveness. A Course in Miracles. There you go. Wow, we got 88, 98 people here today. Yoo-hoo. Good to see you all. Hey, if you've been hanging around, not church for a while, if it's been inspiring to you, please subscribe. That'd be really helpful. Thanks. And like all that stuff. Appreciate it. You're welcome, Lynn. You're welcome, ES. Project Eden. Peter, any thought on integration of the shadow in one's journey in unity to balance both polarities? I try to integrate the shadow here. I try to confront the shadow here. I do my best to try to turn to face my own darkness. But I find that that's helpful here. The more I face my own darkness here, the more I face my own emotions, the more I face my own troubles, the more honest I am with myself about myself, the less ego I have about it, the closer I get to the light. So, yeah, not many more minutes left, my friends, today. 102 folks. Peter, oh, yeah, I just read that one. When we die, our human foibles slide away. That's what happened to me, Mary. Gone. People think of their spirit or soul in quantity to what you want. I'm just going to start over again, Jay. People think of their spirit or their soul in quantity to what you can think and feel here. The bandwidth of power you have when you cross over is infinite. So here you're one, there you're a trillion. Yeah. Well said, Jay. Yeah. It is not comparable. It's incomparable. That's the problem. That's why we can't talk about it. It's incomparable. That's why we use metaphor, myth, and symbol, because it's incomparable. Thanks, Jay. I know how to integrate the shadow. Excellent, Lucia. All right, my friends, I got to go in a minute or two. Thanks so much, Rod. You're welcome, brother. Thank you from Elena. You're welcome very much, Elena. Andrew, new to mysticism too. Hey, if you're new to mysticism too, Andrew, it's all about the experience. But if you want to feed your head, there's that link below, which I'm about halfway through. This guy, he summarizes the history of mysticism from one point of view, and it's pretty good. I say so far, it's actually very good. Meditation helps dissolve the dark seeds that otherwise are projected outward that we see in our world. Yes. So meditation clears the way to the light. Yes. All right, my friends, I've got to go here for a minute. Meet us at Mystic Tea Salon. The Zoom is below in the link. Just click the link. Come and lurk if you want to come and lurk. It's a place of conversation about mysticism, and humility is the rule. So I'll see you there in a few minutes. I'll turn it on in a moment, and peace and love to you all. I'm going to move the mic for this. Peace and love to you all. I haven't been tapping my chest because I've been whacking the mic when I've been doing that. I've been like, oh, ah. So peace and love to you all. I keep learning things. It's a continual experience of learning. All right, everybody. Peace and love. I'll see you soon. Very, very soon. Thanks for being here. Thanks for your support. It makes a huge difference, me being able to sit here every week. Thank you. Peace and love.